I feel like we should dig into some examples of certain relationships and see like how we can help people communicate better. I
I
feel
love it.
like yeah, I feel like for me, I'm currently in a situation right now. I even got into something with my husband this morning. And for this kind of a situation, when you're sort of at like a stalemate and when you just don't feel like someone is hearing you,
Mm-hmm.
I will go to like, I think the way that you just talked to me hurt my feelings. Like that made me upset. And then I think he will immediately say something like, I'm just stating a fact. You're just too sensitive. And we're
Mm-hmm.
always at this kind of impasse. And I feel like so many people can be at similar places. Like we usually communicate well, but it ends up coming down to me being too sensitive and then him being kind of too harsh and like having a tone. So, how do you deal with someone that you feel like is not understanding your feelings in that moment?
Depends if it's like a relationship. Different
Yes.
different way to handle it in a marriage.
Right. Like I
Then
know this is broad and sort of like a broad thing to
yeah.
start with.
So here's some things that come to mind.
Yeah.
You never want to begin with you, like you're not listening to me,
Mhm.
because you're now going to just be in a fight about whether or not this person is or is not listening,
Right.
and you're going to go off on a rabbit trail, and that's not going to
On
be
a tangent.
productive. One thing you can do to keep somebody from getting defensive in that moment is to talk about distances. I do this a lot when I feel like there is something unspoken between the two of us. So
Mhm.
let's say you and I are together and something is off. Instead of me saying, "What's wrong with you?"
Mhm.
or "You're not listening to me," or even "I feel like you're not listening to
Right.
me."
I feel like you're upset with me. Or I feel like you're
Exactly.
annoyed with me.
Yeah, because now I just took something and threw it on you
Mhm.
and say, "Do something with it."
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not trying to be helpful at all, but distances are a way of separating it. When I say, "You feel far from me right now,"
Mhm.
or "I feel like we're a mile apart," or "I don't feel close to you in this moment." Like little ways that you use distances
Mhm.
that are really good at describing without having to be very specific. I'm not
Mhm.
blaming it.
Without
I'm not saying
putting it on someone or making them feel like you're putting it on them. Yeah.
exactly. When you lead with the phrase, "I need your help," people who love you will tune in.
Uh-huh.
People who are acquaintances don't really care.
Yeah.
But if you're in a relationship with them, they go, "Okay." If you say, "I need your help,"
Mhm.
I'm talking, and right now I feel like I'm the only one part of this conversation.
Mhm.
And see, I am not putting anything on you. I haven't said you. I haven't said anything about you of what you're doing wrong,
Mhm.
because they may not be doing anything wrong. It could be something that is perception.
Completely.
Now, if he says you're being sensitive right
Uh-huh.
now, that's not helpful, right?
No.
Because you then are going to get defensive
Completely.
with that. And so then it just becomes a cycle, and then it starts to spin and spiral, and then
Yeah.
you fight
Or
over
I
every little thing.
question, yeah, I start to question, am I too sensitive or is he being like a jerk, And then I start to question my own sense of knowing myself, and that is not productive. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
And what I don't want you to do in that situation is start to go, "Is it me? Am I the one that's sensitive?"
Mhm.
You already voiced what you were feeling.
Mhm.
He actually didn't address it. He just kind of took it and threw it right back at you. He
Mhm.
didn't try to do anything with that. Now, a better way to do it
Mhm.
from his point of view is to say, "Okay, what am I missing?"
Mhm.
So if let's say the roles are reversed and somebody's talking to you, say, "What am I missing?"
Mhm.
People will always find a way to help fill in the gaps. Or, "I need your help. What am I missing?
Completely.
What am I not hearing right
Right.
now?"
I believe tone is super important. And my
Yeah.
husband sometimes is just like, and this is not going to be all about my husband and I, but is always just like, forget the tone, just like listen to what it is I'm saying. And I'm just like, no, I can't forget the tone.
Yeah, I don't agree
Like,
with that.
no, okay, thank you. Like he's started to realize that as he's gotten more mature and like has done some work, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do think that tone can go a really, really long way. And I feel like a lot of us
Yeah.
are missing that. We can ask the same question and change our tone and it will be so much more productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, when somebody like that kind of thinking is it's lazy communicating. It's just not wanting to put in the effort
Completely.
of all you have to do is change the tone of your voice.
Right.
If you're not willing to put in that much effort into the conversation, it makes a big difference. So if I were to just say, okay, there's a lot of different ways I could say that. Okay. Or somebody's done something wrong, you're like, okay, versus, okay. Like just the tone. It's still the same word. In every different one, I have expressed something
different
every time. Simply by my tone.
He would definitely agree with that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Completely. Our emotions get the best of us. And I think that that's what triggers us with communication. Like, a lot of us have the tools and we may know the right thing to say or the right way to handle it, but the emotion overcomes us and we can't see straight. There can be two people with very different communication styles. Like Timmy was raised in a family where he heard the fighting all the time and it was verbal and he grew up with it. And I was raised with nothing, where if there was fighting, it was happening behind closed doors. And my parents kept us sheltered from everything. So he can sometimes go at it and I'm like, no, I don't really want to go at it. And then and this is a question I was getting into, and then I'll kind of just like give in and not even want to get into it and just kind of like apologize too early on, because I'm like, I kind of get too, and this hasn't happened in a while. And Timmy, I'm sorry. I'm just like, I love you. And we're like, and we're everything, but we're a normal couple that has shit.
What you're saying is everybody.
Is everybody.
Yeah. Often what I find is people wait until they're talking to figure out what they want to say. Meaning you get into it and you know the context, but you don't know how to land the plane.
Yeah.
Like you have an idea of a point, but you haven't verbalized that point.
That's my whole life.
And you don't, and to his credit, he is trying to search for what your point is. Because if you're not sure what your point even is, you can be rest assured, we're not going to know. And so what does that do? That puts us in the position of guessing. If you start talking about, instead of leading with your point, number one would be, have a goal for the conversation. Completely. If it's important, know what the finish line looks like and bring them with you. And you have to tell them up front where that finish line is. Two would be, don't begin with the context, begin with the takeaway. Okay. So this is what leading with context sounds like. Okay, so remember the other day when we were saying X, Y, and Z, and just go with me here. And well, that's not true. And he said, well, that's a lie. And they're just going
all over the place,
pinballing everywhere. Okay. For people that are very direct.
Yeah.
For somebody who says, forget the tone, just give me the goods.
You're getting the gist.
Okay. It's just get to the point, because it is also a sense of fight or flight when I feel like you're asking me to carry a lot, but I don't know what you want me to sift. And so I'm just holding a big bag of sand and you're telling me there's a piece of gold in it.
Right.
How am I supposed to find that?
Right.
And then it's a pressure on me, because now I have to feel like I'm not living up to my expectations for you unless I find the gold. And then it's a sense of, well, I want to be a good partner, but now I'm frustrated with myself that I'm not getting your point. And then you feel like you're not expressing yourself well enough. Completely. And then it just kind of starts to tumble from there.
What would you say, in like all your experience, what do you feel like are the most common communication mistakes that you feel you see people making?
That what is said is exactly what should be heard. Like I said, our text, and it goes for text too. I texted, okay. What you heard from reading it was something totally different. Completely. Or even if, let's say your partner just responds, good. like, okay, I guess they hate me now. I guess you're in a bad mood. Like it doesn't matter what it is. We have this idea that just because I said it is exactly how you should perceive it. And when we get into this little tit for tat of, you've probably heard before, okay, then tell me what I said. Right. Tell me what I said. Right. And the other person does. And do you agree with it or not? You never agree with it.
Never. You're like, no, well, I didn't mean it like that. That's not what you took it that way.
Exactly. That's it right there. It's like, I didn't say, are you kidding me? That's not what I said. I would never
say it like that.
That's not what I said.
Right. But it's ambiguous because you don't know if they really meant it like that. But yes.
Right.
Okay.
So the key here is, instead of fighting that's not what I said, that you use the question of, what did you hear? then what did you hear?
What did you hear?
Don't argue with it. Don't argue the point. Argue the perspective. What did you hear? And they're going to say, well, what I heard was you're angry with me and you think that I'm X, Y, and Z, and and that's when you say that was not my intent at all. Let me rephrase that. That's communication.
How do you approach those kinds of little annoyances with your partner?
So I start with, I'm going to tell you something. And I know that it's probably not going to change, is what I say.
You say that?
Yeah, I say that. Because...
Does that annoy her though?
No.
Okay.
No, because it's almost playful at that point in time. Because, I mean, if you've been married for any amount of time, you know things. I mean, there's just things that, I mean, I do weird things.
Yeah,
it's
you just know certain things.
You realize that everybody's weird.
Yeah.
And
we all have our things.
everybody's quirky.
Yeah.
And so just what are the ones you're going to live with?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of it.
That's how you approach it.